Brilliant. We are live. We are back after what a disappointing day of day 2 of Test cricket it's been.
Yeah.
It was going all right. I mean, it started off, I don't
Started
know.
off horribly.
Yeah, and then it was going fine until the last half an hour.
Yeah.
But it's great to see you guys join us already on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, it's Friday.
Yeah,
right?
it's Friday afternoon. We're at day 2 of Test cricket. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to ponder. There's a lot of players to criticize. And there's a lot of positives too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Hey, Driving Games. Hi, Dr. K, Crick, Fan, Vignesh, Erin. Painful, guys. Indeed painful. It
Very
really is
painful.
painful.
Yeah.
For those of you guys, hey, my life. Hi. For those of you guys joining us for the first time, we have a lot of segments throughout this live. We'll talk about the positives, negatives of the day. We will have one analysis today, not much to really talk about. We will also talk about things from the Australians' perspective and then come to you guys, take questions from you, and have a discussion with you guys while you also talk amongst yourself, which is absolutely great. And then we'll close out with what India should do tomorrow, and then we'll hope for a better tomorrow.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah, that's how our life is going to go. Before we start off, it is funny at this point how India finds itself in positions all the time. Yeah, that is very,
true.
very true.
Yeah.
But yes, before we go on with our segments, Pratap, do you want to go over the scoreline?
Yeah, so Australia started, or rather resumed batting this morning. The first session was horrible, something that we will talk about from an Indian standpoint.
Yes.
But yeah, Steve Smith getting a century once again, Pat Cummins 49, 143 runs in that first session of play. And India now at the end of the day's play are 164 for 5. They still trail by 310 runs,
True.
which honestly does not look good for India. Jadeja and Pant are out there. You still have a little bit of batting to come,
Sundar and NKR.
that's for later.
But yeah, let's talk about, for those of you guys who weren't able to wake up at 5 a.m. because you'd rather sleep, which is fine, which is what you should do. Let's have a morning recap.
Cool. So morning recap for all of you who did not get up at 5 a.m. Firstly, India bowled terribly in the morning. They started off with Siraj with the new ball, gave him just 1 over, and then they moved to Akashdeep and Bumrah, who also got hit for quite a few runs. In fact, Pat Cummins and Steve Smith put on a partnership of over 100 runs. And yeah, 143 runs in that morning session, as I was saying. Spin got introduced at some point very late into the day. Into the first session rather, but all in all, that session is what kind of took the game completely away from India. Australia have a huge score on the board, and yeah, there's not much more to it. This is the morning recap.
Let's talk about few positives for the day, because we do have quite a bit, even if in the end, hey Mickey, even if Srikanth, even if in the end things look bleak. Let's start with the bowling. Jadeja did he bowled well. He was introduced after 14 overs of the day's play, which is fine because we still had the new ball. Some might argue that he was brought on a little later than he should have. But here we are. Jadeja did bowl well. He extracted spin from the pitch. And with that, Rohit Sharma, the captain, also tried few different things. The Indian bowlers did have a short ball ploy. There's one criticism of why do we start a short ball ploy by the end of when this ball starts getting older and not while it's hard. That's something to think about. But yeah, Rohit Sharma did try a couple of things. Yeah, I mean, Pat Cummins and Steve Smith did take the game away from us completely. But yeah, the Indian bowlers did what they could, especially Jadeja, and when they had the short ball ploy and all of that. But with the bat, there were a lot of positives. Rohit Sharma came out to bat and then went off the field. I don't know why I started with Rohit Sharma. But yeah, Yashasvi Jaiswal and KL Rahul looked very, very solid. It was as if they were the openers and they just forgot there were a wicket down.
Yeah.
KL Rahul did get a peach of a delivery. I'll also say that it was also because it was the last over before tea. So at some point, KL Rahul was just hoping to get through that over. I'm just being subjective. I wouldn't know. But Jaiswal batted extremely well. But with KL Rahul getting out, you had someone else coming into bat who has been struggling this entire tour. Even if he got that 100, and that's Virat Kohli. He did leave so many balls outside off. It was funny to a point where he was leaving balls that he knew he would chase, and he was having a laugh about it. It's great to see. Of course, things at the end of play didn't turn out great, but those 36 runs was good to see from Kohli, but then he gets out the way he always has, and again, that's something to talk about. So yeah, that's been the positives for the day. This is a bit of bowling analysis. Pratap, do you want to go through?
It's a very small analysis, basically comparison of release points of Bumrah and Akashdeep, and I think it's just further building on the point of why Jasprit Bumrah has also been so much more successful. Is despite him hitting similar lengths and even lines maybe to his counterparts, it's just that his release points are a little further, which means at the time of release and even at the time that the batter is playing the ball, it comes slightly faster onto the bat. It hits the bat harder. A lot of batters might be a tad late, even if it's a 0.01 millisecond or whatever it may be. Those are the things that induce edges, and this is one thing that we could think of that is probably the reason why Akashdeep might not be getting the edge, because he's bowling similar lines and lengths but not being rewarded.
Now let's talk about the blunders for the day, because that's why we are
Yeah.
here for.
Yeah, I think it was a day just filled with blunders. I can see some repeated stuff in the chat. We will take your questions come our second or third segment. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But yeah, coming to the blunders, I think firstly with the ball, something I really want to get into is Mohammad Siraj. We also had a lot of conversation about Siraj yesterday. If he's tired, if he's like at this point where he just can't bowl good balls or good spells anymore. But something that's more fascinating is in the morning he got the first over with that newish ball. There's no swing on offer. He got hit for a few runs. Washington Sundar, there was a misfield there. And it just set the momentum in Australia's way. But my question is, as a captain, when you're playing a test match, why would you just give Siraj that 1 over and then pull him out of the attack, irrespective of how many runs he's gone for? Because it's just 1 over. There were misfields. It's not like Siraj bowled horribly in that over. But taking him off the attack and then having Akashdeep and Jasprit Bumrah come on, it just kind of did not make sense to me. They could have probably given Siraj another over or two at least to make sure that he's in form or not.
Or they could have just continued with
Exactly. Or they
Akashdeep
could have
and
just
Bumrah.
started with them. Yeah. So that's one thing. Apart from that, despite Akashdeep and Bumrah coming into the attack, Bumrah was still okay because Bumrah is always okay. Akashdeep was a lot fuller. There were some half volleys on display, and the batsman just capitalized on anything that was even slightly loose, because these were two set batsmen by the first 15-30 minutes of that session. And that's where the game honestly went away, because we were still in a pretty decent situation today morning. We were hoping that we'd get Australia all out for 350, 360, but that just catapulted to 140 plus runs in a single session. That's where a lot of the damage was done. And yeah, spin also was not used very well. Spin came into the picture very late in that morning session, and clearly there was something in the pitch. You were seeing Washi getting turn, you were seeing Jaddu getting turn, and it just feels like they should have got on spin a little earlier, especially because pace bowlers weren't getting the job done. They were leaking runs. At least if the argument is that it was a new ball but the pace bowlers were keeping it tight, it makes sense, but they were just leaking runs. And yeah, on top of that, poor fielding all around. So yeah.
That was India in the fielding front, and then India comes on to bat, and Rohit Sharma, like the meme held true. He comes on to bat at 5 a.m. and then KL Rahul walks into bat at 5:03. It almost felt like that. Rohit Sharma looked out of sorts. Rohit Sharma is very comparable to Mitchell Marsh from the Australian side, where for whatever reason it just feels like they cannot bat in this format anymore, and I do not understand why. Because for Rohit Sharma, it's just been these last couple of series where he's been struggling. And so, I mean, it's the same with Mitchell Marsh. But yeah, Rohit Sharma looked out of sorts. He tried to play a pull shot. There was nowhere there to play the pull. A lot of people might argue that it's a Rohit Sharma release shot, but it's a test match and you just don't play shots like that. And then Virat Kohli with that run out. Again, I have strong opinions on the run out, and I think it was completely Virat Kohli's fault. It's just basic cricket instinct. As a striker, when you hit it straight to mid-off or mid-on, it is your call. And if you are calling it, the non-striker needs to run, because more often than not, the non-striker is safe. And in my head, he would have been safe. And by the time Jaiswal reached the non-striker, Pat Cummins was throwing. By the end of all of this, Virat Kohli would have made it. But besides all of that, it's just basic cricket sense. If a striker hits it to mid-off, mid-on, and if he calls, it's his call, and the non-striker just needs to oblige. Sanjay Manjrekar made an interesting observation of how it was the last ball of the over, and maybe that's why Virat Kohli didn't want that single, which I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case, because it's a tendency with Virat how he will run hard if it's the last ball of the over for him to get a strike. Or he won't care enough because
even Jaiswal, someone who likes to farm strike.
he loves getting the strike. He loves farming the strike. So Again, I think that was irresponsible from Virat. Even if he didn't want to run, I feel like he could have called it straight away. And then that run out might be the cause of loss of concentration. But for someone who's close to 10,000 runs, I don't think that can be an excuse. And he got out the same way he's been getting out this entire time, which cannot be more emphasized enough. And watch out for a video today. That's something we are talking about. We will be talking about Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli and how they might possibly should be dropped by the end of the series, and that's a whole video coming out today, so watch out for that. But yeah, I cannot emphasize on how bad it is when you look at Virat Kohli getting out the way he is. Of course, 36 not out. I mean, until he was at 36, it looked all great. But as the number 4 under pressure in the 4th test match of a Border-Gavaskar Trophy in Australia, you gotta score more runs. You gotta just pile on runs. And Virat Kohli just wasn't able to do that. So yeah. That and 2 down. Oh yeah, but we were 2 down before 30 minutes of play, and by the end of it, we were 5 down, trailing by 310, hoping that we don't fall on again. It's the same old story with us. But yes, it's what has been going on. But we do have top performances of the day.
Yeah, of course. It would be a sin to not call out how well Yashasvi Jaiswal batted. Thought he applied himself beautifully. It was some tough runs. It was not easy to get going. And so from that point of view, and also all of his recent performances, I think it's good that Jaiswal got a score. Had he not been run out for 82, I think he was set for another big one. He was looking completely in control. And so yeah, Jaiswal is one of our top performers. But also Jadeja with the ball. I think his effort will kind of go unnoticed, but to finally clean up that tail and to get those wickets, especially the way Australia were going this morning, I think Jadeja's contributions there are extremely important, more so than Bumrah today. And so Jaddu is our other top performer for the day.
Alright, so that's been our top performance. Let's take it from the stands. Let's take it from you guys. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining us. There's a lot of familiar names.
And a lot of conversation in the chat.
Yeah. Ira says, I feel there was no run, which is fine. But alright, let me explain this a little further, right? Yeah. Yashasvi Jaiswal, with the intent of how he played the ball, it clearly seemed like he wanted a single. He runs with the shot, which when a batter does that, you want a single. Now, in a scenario where the ball is going straight to the fielder, you might want to say no. Virat Kohli could have done that, but he didn't. He looked at Jaiswal running, looked at the ball, which is not what you do as a non-striker. If your striker calls for it, if you don't want to run, don't run. But if your striker's calling for it, you cannot wait because the striker's already committed. He's running with the shot. Yeah. And if Virat Kohli had to say no, he should have said no much earlier. If not, he should have just ran. Again, basic cricket instincts, basic cricket stuff. Like if your striker calls for it and if he's in the danger end, you run. If you don't want to run, just shout a no.
This is cricket coaching 101. Like this is the first thing they teach you about running between the wickets. So yeah.
Dumb asks. You have a question. How can India recover from this mini batting collapse?
At this point, I don't even think it's a mini batting collapse. I think it's almost the end of the innings. India will need something very miraculous tomorrow to firstly avoid follow-on. That should be their first goal. And from there to even get close to Australia's score, I'm not even thinking about India getting into the lead.
True.
Extremely far-fetched. You have Pant and Jadeja out there, 2 left-handers. After that, you have Sundar coming in, another left-hander. And you have NKR. So these are the recognized batters. So there's a bit of batting to come, but can these 4 batters alone get 200, 300 runs? It's going to be really tough. They'll have to apply themselves. Never say never. Cricket's a funny sport. But the only way India can recover from this batting collapse is to just keep batting. They'll essentially, these 4 batters will have to bat out the entire day tomorrow for any chance to save this test match.
Yes. Ravi Singh asks, is KL's strength in this series the reason for his wicket today, as he's only playing very close to his body and failed at gauging the line of the ripper ball by Pat?
Very interesting question.
Yeah.
I do think it was an absolute Jaffa. I don't know how many batters would have been able to play that. But again, it's like KL plays so close to his body with the ball right under his eyes. If anything, that should have helped him to cover the ball that moved because of how late it moved and how little it moved. But not sure. Hey, thanks for the super chat,
thank
guys.
you for the super chat. Last half felt like BGT slipping away. Yes, it did. Why Prashant? Again, thank you for the super chat. Why couldn't Rohit play number 3? Threw his wicket away. Yeah, I mean, it's something we did talk about.
Yeah.
Wait, before, I feel like this Jaiswal run out will continue to go on.
Hmm.
Yeah, I read a comment about how it was on Jaiswal because he was running with running with the shot while playing it straight to the fielder.
Hmm.
Yeah, so if he could have made it, he would have.
Yeah.
And the other comment said if Kohli did this, we would have been on Kohli. No, we wouldn't have, because again, you're running with the shot. The point is, if you have to say no, just say no. And Kohli did not do that. As a
Yeah.
senior man who's played so much cricket, like I mean, it does happen. You do
Yeah,
get
it happens
runouts.
in
Yeah.
the heat of the
Yeah,
moment.
it
But
does.
this was a bit of an unnecessary, especially when you know you are two set batters.
Yeah.
You have 30 minutes for tea, 30 minutes for the end of the day's play, not even tea. So yeah.
Yeah. Tanuj. Oh yeah, you guys have a question. If we lose this match, will Rohit just retire or drop himself? It's a very interesting question. I don't think he'll... I mean, if he does drop himself, it'll be another sacrifice.
Yeah.
Reels.
Intent.
More and more. Sadagopa Ramakrishnan, I was so damn happy when it was Kohli and Jaiswal on the crease. I was thinking, what will be taking this live if they remain not out, but not now. I'm sad to say. A lot of us are sad. Parag, I disagree, and I think both of them threw it away. Yeah, fair. I mean, we can always disagree, and that's absolutely fine. That's the fun of the game.
Yeah.
Jesh, Kohli did take 1,000 steps in that run.
Exactly. If at least Kohli was in his crease,
Yeah.
and Jaiswal would have at least seen that.
Yeah.
Right? The thing is, Kohli's already committed 2-3 steps and he's still in a 50-50. That's where the issue is.
What about Siraj's situation? He had an economy of 5.3.
Siraj got pasted in this innings, to be honest. There's no better word to describe how he got absolutely smashed around. I think they should just
Give him a bit of a rest.
Yeah, give him a bit of a rest. Clearly, he's all over the place. He's bowling. The thing is, he's not even consistent in a spell. He's consistent in 1 or 2 overs, and then something or the other happens that breaks his rhythm. Just get in another seamer, at least for the final test match.
I will say that again, Steve Smith is the greatest test player of this generation. We can only watch him dominate the bowlers when he's in form. That is very, very true.
That is
really
true.
frustrating to see Kohli again committed to get out outside off stump.
I mean, he nicked off a bloke in the first inning, so what's the
that's
ball?
Yeah, that is true. Kohli always takes aggression singles. I think the precedence is to take those singles. Yeah, I mean, according to us, that was a single.
Yeah.
But it's fine if you guys disagree. Yogesh, but I would blame Rohit. He took the spot of KL and got out in the second over. At least he should have come in at number 3.
I don't know what to say with Rohit because it's the same story repeating at each number that he bats at. I don't think it would have made any difference if Rohit came at 3, if he came at 6. I think it's probably one test away for Rohit.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, like we said, there's a whole video coming out about Kohli and Rohit tonight.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of you might not like what we are saying, but some of you might disagree.
Such is life.
Yeah. Thoughts on choosing to play an extra bowler for a batter and still conceding 500 runs?
Here's another thing, right? They played the extra bowler, but they did not ball that extra bowler enough at all. Washington Sundar barely bowled any overs. It begs the question of why you wanted to play that second spinner if you're going to use him so sparingly. So yeah, spot on. Still got whacked for a lot of runs.
Yes. Why teams face a lot more difficulty in winning away series in tests than white ball? Is it because of the red ball or the conditions tailor-made specifically for tests? It's a lot of both actually. It's the red ball and it's the conditions and the kind of pitches and the fact that if you're an Indian, I mean, we are not playing spin any better, but as an Indian, you would traditionally play a lot of spin while growing up, which is also why you're used to playing good spinners. While in Australia, you would face a lot of fast bowlers growing up because of the kind of pitches. So you're already accustomed to that kind of pitch. And if you are talking about a 5-day game playing 90 overs, you would generally be better at something than the opposition because in your country, you've done that a lot more.
Home advantage.
Yeah. Anirudh, if Pan, Jaddu, and KR can score 50 plus, we can salvage something.
Something. But for that, they all need to score 50 plus. So yeah.
To be fair, we also have Sundar. And which is why he's also picked over Tanush Kotian. I mean, I don't think Kotian made it to Australia by that. Maybe he would have. I don't know. Do you think India can say follow on? Oh, wait, this is an interesting question. The follow-on thing is tomorrow anyway. But Ravi Singh, isn't the concept of night watchman inefficient? Akashdeep would have at least tried to hit few sixes lower down, but instead had to play as night watchman just to protect wicket from the other end.
I kind of agree with that because it does not make sense to protect a batter with a bowler coming out to bat. So yeah, I see your point, but I mean, it's two sides, right? It's very subjective. Maybe it's something about how a team functions. Maybe they are not confident enough to send out that batter, or maybe the batter himself is okay with the night watchman going ahead. It's a lot of psychological stuff, ego stuff, or all of that comes into the picture.
You know what? I just hope. How good is Scott Boland? Why doesn't he get more matches? Because you have Josh Hazelwood, and like statistically, Hazelwood might just be a little.
Scott
better.
Boland's only good in Australia. That's the thing. Like if you take him out of Australia, his average goes into the hundreds.
Yeah.
So
you know what's interesting? If Rohit does play the next Test match just because it's the last Test match of the series, just to retire, I don't know how selfless that would be as compared to him dropping him now. Like I don't know what's going on in his head, but if he considers this as the last Test series, and if he's going to play the next Test match for the sake of it, anyways, the last Test match. Yeah, then I don't know. Yogesh, I felt Virat was in best touch in the series, but after the run, he lost his concentration. But this is not an excuse for the kind of player he is. But I felt that he can play some good innings. Yeah, that is completely true.
Yeah.
Prateek, Australia top 4, 60, 57, 72, 140. India top 4, 482, 324, 36. The difference is clear, yeah. And I think this is what we talked about yesterday. It was about execution of the top order and how they need to play good test cricket. Rohit Sharma's wicket evidently showed that he wasn't. KL Rahul, I mean, it was a good ball, and Virat Kohli getting out the way he did with Jaiswal's run out. Yeah, the mixture is just disappointing because it's been the storyline for the Indian batters for just the last couple of years.
And the thing is, it could have been such a different scoreline today. True. We could have been heading into stumps at 180 for 2, but we are 164 for 5.
You know, I disagree with this. Karma says under Virat's captaincy they never sent a night watchman, which they did. They sent Ishant Sharma quite a bit.
Sometimes, yeah.
Ritesh, the pitch was a lot flatter than what our scorecard shows. Yeah, 100%. I agree with this completely. The pitch, I don't know if it was better or worse to bat as compared to yesterday, but it was a good batting wicket.
Yeah, if Pat Cummins is able to get 49, I'm not saying he's a bad batter.
But as compared to our top order, I completely agree with that. Srikanth, hey lads, drop the head coach and captain and get VVS and Boom as a new duo.
Honestly, at this point, go for it. You have nothing to lose.
Because you're not winning anything. How's the pitch for spinners in coming days? It's gonna turn a lot more. Jadeja got a lot of spin today. Nathan Lyon didn't bowl much. Something to actually, that was a thunder, a positive that Jaiswal and Kohli made sure Lyon never settled, especially Yashasvi Jaiswal. He used his feet around a lot, stepped out of the crease, went back deep into his crease, and he did that a lot to make sure Nathan Lyon wasn't settled, and he was finding his line and length even against Virat, and then he was taken off the attack for Mitchell Marsh, which was great. So Nathan Lyon wasn't potent as of yet, but it should spin a lot more in the coming days. Not being delusional, how much can India get tomorrow? Do you think we should move on to the next segment?
Yeah, we can.
Alright, let's talk about what happens tomorrow. Wonder Down Under, what India needs to do tomorrow. First of all, Jadeja and Punt. Right. First of all, Punt needs to make sure he can play with the straight bat because the Australians are going to come at him making sure he plays with the straight bat because that's the way they want to make Punt out. Jadeja needs to continue. It wasn't a surprise to see Jadeja coming ahead of NKR and Washington Sundar just because of the experience and the amount of runs that he has scored in Australia. They should continue to go on and not grind the bowlers. Punt might just play an outrageous shot that might either get us a 6 or get him out, which I think is okay because at this point you take Punt at face value. But then you still have NKR and Washington Sundar coming in. All of these guys need to have small partnerships, and that's how they need to go tomorrow. Every 10 runs. They just need to make sure they get 10 runs or get through each over, even if it's not 10 runs. Because it's only day 3 of the test match. There's still a long way to go. And you're 310 runs behind. So you got to make sure you're taking it over by over. You're taking it session by session. And you're grinding out the bowlers and scoring a bit of runs whenever available. Because it's still a good deck to bat on. With an outfield that's helping the batters anyway. Oh, the timing of it all. Pratip stuck. Now he'll be unstuck. Oh, we don't have a banner, which is quite disappointing. The banner will come. There you go. There's a banner right there. All right. So that's been the fourth. That's been day 2 of the fourth test match.
Yeah.
We'll take. Do you want to take a couple more questions?
Can.
Kohli was looking so good until he committed the one ball and it seemed like he was playing body line. Oh yeah, that is true. So Ravi Shastri was talking about how Virat Kohli was playing a lot with a straight bat. Can someone try what Constars did? The important question is, should someone try what Constars did?
No, because we are 5 down. We're looking at following on.
Yeah.
We're still 110 runs away from just avoiding a follow on.
Right.
So no more stupidity. Pant will probably play as close to Constars anyways. But yeah, beyond that, I don't think India should venture out of the ordinary.
JB makes zero sense when GG's picked over VVS, who's a better option. GG. Oh, okay, you're telling us it makes. I thought we make no sense. GG has almost zero coaching experience compared to VVS, who has one IPL trophy based on. Oh, okay, GG, who has one IPL mentorship, correct. But the thing with the mentorship is, we don't know how
Involved.
involved he actually was. Maybe he was doing the coaching duties in some
I think
extent.
my only not argument but in favor of VVS becoming coach is that he's also been with NCA and various levels of coaching,
and he's been the coach whenever the main coach is on duty somewhere else. So he's been with the Indian team for a while. But yes, this has been our live on the day 2 of the 4 test match. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Jesus Christ, a lot of you guys showed up. 220 people
over
almost.
200 watching and just 38 likes. Please show some support, guys.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
How did you see the likes? Oh,
Om in the comments.
hey Om, thanks a lot. Like our live if you enjoy our live. We will do this every day of the test match. I hope you guys like this. If there is any feedback or if you have any suggestions, please let us know in the comments below. We will always take that. He's a politician, man. He loves politics. That's why he's the head coach. Very nice.
Well, that's another subject. Yeah.
We will see you tomorrow. Hopefully, we've talked about Rohit. Right. We've talked about a lot of things that you guys are talking about. Rohit's captaincy, Virat Kohli getting out. There's a video coming out tonight at 8 p.m. is what I
Hopefully.
Hopefully 8 p.m. But it's coming out tonight.
Yeah.
It will talk about a lot of things, a lot of opinions that, again, you guys might just disagree with.
But all backed by stats and I mean we've put in the work.
Yeah.
So
yes, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for the super chats. We always appreciate that. We will continue to do this every day of the test match. If you guys want to share this with your friends, because we'll appreciate it, please do it. Like our live too. Like, share and subscribe, all that good stuff. We will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Bye-bye.